Welcome back to Marvel Maniac, an MCU after show. This is your host, Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest. Today, we are talking about one of my favorite franchises of Marvel. It's been 10 years in the making, and we haven't talked much about it, if at all, on this podcast. The Guardians of the Galaxy. Today, we're going to go through every one of their movies, mainly focused on Volume 1, 2, and 3, but we will touch upon their journey in between 2 and 3, because some significant stuff happens, if you remember, right? I don't want this intro to be too long. I say it a million times. MarvelManiacPod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your take at MarvelManiacPod on all your socials. Just give the show a 5-star or a thumbs up. It goes so far for us, and so grateful to have you here today. So without further ado, without overstaying my welcome, here's me and TJ Kululi talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy through the MCU. Enjoy.
Yo, what's up, Eric?
Yo, TJ, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. How's it going?
We have a lot to talk about today. You expressed interest in talking about this subject, and I have been wanting to cover these movies for a long time. The Guardians of the frickin' Galaxy.
Hell yeah.
10 years in the making this series. I cannot believe I'm telling you this.
Unbelievable.
Like,
Unbelievable.
I think we saw it in theaters together. I saw it with Dustin. I know you were there, but in my heart, something tells me you weren't there that day.
I was not there.
Oh, damn.
I have my own special Guardians memory. I saw it with my now wife at the time.
That's special. So did she like it?
She loved it. That was like, she hasn't watched Marvel movies in a while, but that was definitely like peak for her when she was really into it. But no, I'm so pumped to talk about Guardians. When I was listening to your episode with Dustin about the Sam Raimi trilogy, I was like, oh, that's Dustin's thing? This is my thing.
This is your thing. I'm
ready to go. Guardians, the first one, is my favorite Marvel movie, period.
Really?
No comparison. My favorite Marvel trilogy, hands down.
Oh, hell yeah. I love that. I agree. The first one's iconic.
Right. I watch the first one probably every year. I just love it so much.
I think I've seen that one the most, too. Well, let's talk about the first movie. You know, there's a lot of adventures they go on. They assemble for the first time at a time where we have only really watched Avengers, who are on planet Earth,
right,
assembling, and this is like right before Age of Ultron. They put this one out. And I remember thinking a couple things. One, that it's like a very amazing modern Star Wars without being Star Wars. And two, wow, this movie they're going to make more of these movies. They really impressed me with this movie at the time. They showed Thanos. We don't have to go down every bullet point, but like they blew us out of the water with that first movie. It had so much heart. There's so much heart in that movie. James Gunn did a good job. He did a great job with his trilogy.
No, I think you hit the head on the hammer. It's just such an emotional, beautiful film. James Gunn he turned this marble into this beautiful sculpture, and the soundtrack is unbelievable.
Hell yeah.
Probably my favorite soundtrack to any movie ever.
Yeah, well, that's amazing too.
Soundtrack nerd. So,
do you ever go around listening to or did you go around listening to the soundtrack, pretending you're like had only access to Peter's songs?
Yeah. Absolutely. I one of my first records I ever owned was the Guardians of the Galaxy vinyl, and I used to listen to it all the time. It was amazing.
That's very cool. That's a big fan thing right there. I feel like I'm speaking in awkward English today, so forgive me. I did, for some reason, but, for all good reason, I did watch every movie, and I took, 7 notebook pages of notes. I know I'm not even going to glance at them. But if we do get lost in conversation, I have a lot written down. I think it's a good way to kind of, help me prepare about what I'm going to talk about. Even just writing it down helps me remember the movie better.
Sure.
The first Guardians, it was a coming together story. It was about finding family, where you wouldn't expect it. and everything timed out perfectly for them to meet each other through fate, and their meeting is so fun. The minute they meet each other, you know it's just barely controlled chaos. They are fighting in the streets of Xandar. Gamora comes for the artifact that Peter stole, which so happens to be the Power Stone. Apparently Gamora didn't know that was a Power Stone until like they opened it. And Thanos has sent his daughters to retrieve it, and the person who gets away with it is Star-Lord. He tries to sell it because he's burdened. He's burdened with it, basically. Man, I can't read my own hand. I can't read my own hand.
I definitely agree with found family. I feel like that's a big theme of all of the Guardians trilogy. I also think sacrifice is a big theme as well.
Oh yeah.
And, it's such a powerful movie because Peter sacrifices himself for Gamora at one point, and that always gets me every time. I don't know why. It's just so emotional when he takes off his breathing mask and gives it to her. And then, of course, Groot sacrificing himself. We are Groot. I mean, it's just it's so powerful. It's so beautiful.
I actually got really upset during that part on this watching. Because if you've seen them all, which we have, we know it's not like the same Groot. It's obviously his kid, I think they explained. Right. So, like, that was a huge sacrifice. And for an new iconic character, what a risk. But where they went with Groot was pretty fun. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Music is the center of this not only series, not only movie, but the series. Music is like running in the background. Like if we're hearing a song, most likely the gang just listened to it, or they're listening to it with us while they're like doing an epic fight scene, or strolling through the universe now. And I might jump ahead. The third movie, they literally have it on speakers in the head of a planet. So where did the first movie pick up for you? Like, was there a moment in it that like told you this is like Marvel's next hit?
I feel like at the time I wasn't thinking of it in that terms, that it was Marvel's next hit. I just remember having so much fun. I remember when they first played the song Cherry Bomb. I forget who sings it, but I was just so captivated, and I don't know, kind of just fell in love with the series right away.
They do a lot of things in this movie to set up the rest of their movies. I mean, as far as a story we won't see until 9 years from the release of Guardians. Rocket is very traumatized by how whatever his origin was. He was ripped apart, put back together. He even says that. I didn't ask for that. And we believe him, but he's such a snarky little raccoon that like we don't think too much about it until we see it later. And I thought, it's good that we are talking about all three movies so we can talk about how they connect. And we learn when we learn about Rocket, I feel like you can even go back and watch the movies and see them on a whole different light.
I agree.
Did you or like the audience know what Infinity Stones were really before this movie, or was this the first movie to go like to the collector? They go to the collector.
I think this is the first one. I think this is the first definite mention of Infinity Stones. I could be wrong.
Yeah, like in Thor: Dark World, they never called it an Infinity Stone, not once.
No.
They did in the post-credit scene, maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about what I don't know right now.
I do think that it was the first time that we got like a general breakdown of what the Infinity Stones were.
Yes. 6 singularities.
Right.
I swear I can almost say it. Because Wong almost makes the same speech for the audience of Infinity War who doesn't really know anything about the stones. Wong does like a 2-minute demonstration. I'm all about the stones too. By the way, I might as well just announce it mid-episode. Now, no one really knowing this. I'm going to do a 100th episode special on Infinity War. We're going to talk to a lot of people. It's going to be like probably the biggest episode yet. And nice. We have a little bit of ways to get there, but it's kind of a cool goalpost to look at.
I got one scene in particular that really hits home. I feel like it's great because it's full circle, and it's kind of like the beauty of the trilogy and the full circle within the first movie itself. So
Okay.
it's like when in the very opening scene when Peter's mom is dying, and she says, take my hand, Peter, and he runs away and he can't face her.
He can't do
And
it.
then, at the very end, when he's holding the Infinity Stone, and Gamora is saying, take my hand, Peter. And when he does, it's just like this beautiful full circle moment. And I feel like there are very few movies that are capable of such full circle and full, I don't know, going back to the beginning for the end. And it's just such a memorable scene. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. It's just so beautiful.
Every character changes and evolves in these movies, and
it's a perfect movie in my opinion. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love the part where they're arrested and like one guy's like, "What a bunch of assholes," and like it's like that's what like you're totally thinking about. Like you said, music is so important. Like you see a scene where they break out of a prison, like they do it together. First thing they do as a team is they break out of this prison. It was very life or death. They barely made it out alive. And then Peter realizes something. He doesn't have his Walkman. So, like, the only reason Peter goes back all the way through the ship while they're, like, trying to escape is to get the music. And it's that important. He can't live without it. And my favorite thing, it's not from this movie. It's, like, from the series. Like, every movie we go along, we see, like, the other Guardians singing along to the songs more and more. Isn't that awesome? Like, they love it. Like... that's my favorite part is the consistency of their music, and it kind of brings them together as family all through the end,
Definitely.
We meet nowhere in this movie, which is just this crazy concept of this celestial and its head being like this marketplace home to many people. Do you think the bigger fight, like at the end of the movie, was more meaningful than when like Ronan? We didn't even talk about Ronan. Ronan, when he attacks them in nowhere, should they have been like more prepared for that? Like, or do you think that's when they kind of woke up and realized like they're fighting something greater than them? This is the best Guardians movie in my opinion as well, just because it's like a simple journey of coming together and. Also, the bad guy, Ronan, I thought he was really cool. At the time, I was terrified of Thanos. We met him for the first time in this movie. It's the first time Josh Brolin ever played him. So I think it's good that we got to establish like who he was really early on. I mean, like 2014 to 2018, that's only 4 years, I guess. But boy... it does feel like way longer ago because it was, but we see them meet Thanos. So it's good that they set Thanos up and they talk about him a lot. And they're the franchise that kind of like introduces us to it all, aside from the post credit scene. And their story kind of lies at the center of that movie too. But let's backtrack a little bit. Drax actually calls Ronan and. I just have written down from strangers to family, like we were talking about modern Star Wars. I've said it all, team. Just tell me, I'm a bad interviewer right now because I'm a friend who's ranting and in the comfort of another friend. But this is your favorite movie. Like, what are some of the things that make it your favorite Marvel movie?
Yeah, kind of just the things I've said before, like the music, absolutely, number one. Number two, the emotional gravitas of it all. It's just, I don't want to sound like a wimp, but this is like a movie that can bring me to tears, like, easily.
No, you don't sound like a wimp. If a movie can touch you like that, it's amazing.
I love it. The cast is great. Obviously, Chris Pratt, like, at that time, he was just coming off of what was that show? Parks and Rec. And I was just a huge Chris Pratt fan. The cast is amazing. I mean, you got Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Bradley Cooper, Vin Diesel.
I can't believe it's still
that. What more could you ask for? It's just so fun.
True. So the Guardians do end up saving the galaxy with the dance-off to save the universe. After they go on some misadventures, they need to protect Xandar, which apparently this is a city where they leave the Power Stone at the end of the movie because they, like you said, Peter held the Power Stone. He saw his mom. It kind of showed there's something special about Peter because people can't really just hold Infinity Stones like that. And then the whole team sticks together. Even little Rocket gets his hand on Drax. They take the power together and they unleash it on Ronan. And that was a very cool ending because the dance-off to save the universe just wasn't exactly enough. But I love the dance-off to save the universe scene. I think it's one of my favorite because there's a lot of slow motion stuff happening. Rocket,
yeah, it's cool as hell.
I love when Rocket breaks his hammer, like he shoots in slow motion.
Yeah, all he's doing is buying time for Rocket to.
I know.
Steal the stone.
I forget that every time. And you know another thing I didn't realize or consider? I'm not sure if they said it. I thought I heard them said it, but I'm gonna say it. Yondu is a Kree. Like, wouldn't that make sense? Because some of the Kree are all blue.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if I can make that assumption.
Damn it!
I feel like they never say. He's just a blue dude. I thought.
No, I don't know. You know, he's an outlaw, so he could be from anywhere. I love when Peter gives him the fake Power Stone, and it cuts to him at the end of the movie with the music playing, and he opens it, and it's a troll doll, and he's got a big smile on his face, like Yondu is such a good character too, you know.
He is.
I feel like this whole I'm having trouble moving on from this movie. Do you feel like you said what you wanted to say on it? I've ranted a lot on this, and this is your favorite.
Ranting. I think we wrapped up volume 1 pretty good. I'm ready to move on to volume 2 if you are.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready. Yeah, I love that you're kind of in the showrunner seat today too. You know, like I appreciate that. I want to flip my page here, and yeah, Guardians 2. I think I only saw it like once or twice before the other day. Like, it's my least seen Guardians. Well, aside from 3, I didn't see 3 since we've seen it in theaters either.
What?
Yeah,
shame on you.
I haven't rewatched it. Yeah, I know. It's been 15 months. I feel like I just saw it. I mean, that means these movies are memorable. I'm still thinking about Deadpool and Wolverine on pretty much a daily basis, so I'm not surprised. The song Brandy, opening up the movie to Peter's mom and Ego, you know, as an audience who has seen all these movies, we're talking about the trilogy, watching Ego sing with her in the car is like, you're just thinking like, what a piece of shit. Like, he's about to kill this woman. Did you believe Ego in saying that he actually did love Peter's mom and he would have stayed there if he went back for her?
I do believe
really?
It. And I want to touch on that song again real quick because it is just musical mastery to pick that song because it just perfectly sums up the relationship between, you know, Ego and Peter's mom. And
it does, dude. It's so good.
Like, I could have 100 years to like pick out a soundtrack and I would never be able to like pinpoint it like James Gunn has to get it right.
They nail it.
I don't know how he does it.
Right on the money. And you know, there's another song in that movie I never heard of called Lakeshore Drive, and it's got this wicked. Song, I never heard it before this movie, and it's about our Lakeshore Drive in our city. And holy shit, I love that song, and it fits into the movie so well. It's when they start like flying somewhere, they put it on. It might be the song that is on when they're approaching Ego, which in general is just a crazy freaking concept. Like, a living planet. Ego, the living planet. What? Like, and he explains. See, the movie goes by so fast in retrospect. Because let's be honest, like, Peter has action at the beginning of the movie, but then he very quickly moves on to the story with his dad, where most of the story takes place is on Ego. But there's a lot of action and a lot of stuff going on outside of Ego via Groot Rocket and Yondu, and they get like arrested and escape, and all that is really fun. The movie, and another thing I want to say, like we're in one place most of the time for Peter at least, but it gives him like this full circle character development. It makes the first movie stronger because you can understand why he was able to hold the Infinity Stone, and we also learn origins of Yondu, which aren't so pretty.
Yeah, yeah.
What are some standout moments in this one for you? I'm gonna just say one thing, Mr. Blue Sky.
I mean, again, I'll say the first Volume 1 soundtrack was 10 out of 10. I give this one 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I can see that.
I just liked it slightly more. But all the music was great. And all the music is part of my lexicon now. I love it. It's just part of who I am.
Oh, that's great.
Standout scenes. I don't know. I feel like Rocket and Yondu kind of steal the show in this one.
For real. They do.
They're like reflections of each other. This is probably my least favorite of the trilogy, although I still love it as a movie. I think it's fantastic. It's just kind of slower in some points.
Yeah.
It just doesn't move along and have that same pacing as the first and third one.
Yeah, the first one was a lot of different locations.
But let's see. I mean, another standout theme for me is sacrifice. Once again, this time with Yondu sacrificing himself. Such a great line. He says, he may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy.
You remember it so well. I was gonna go flip to the page and find that.
No, it's
so
great,
heart-wrenching.
Another really touching, emotional scene because Peter just killed his father, and he's always kind of struggled with parental figures and lack thereof, and it was just beautiful for him to realize that, like he said, that he kind of had David Hasselhoff as a father all along, and
Yondu is he's more evil in the first one, and we get to see him humanized in this one. And it's all circles back to the story of this movie. Sylvester Stallone, which is one of my favorite cameos ever in Marvel, and I want him to be have his own Guardians movie with his team, because his team, one guy in his team knows the mystic arts, like Doctor Strange, and he's got a cool looking team, the Ravagers.
Yeah, and now that they got Gamora on the team, I would watch that movie.
I would watch. Fuck yes! I freaking didn't realize that. Yeah. So you think about that, and I love the line. And I'm gonna quote it wrong because I can't think of what it's called. But he's like, "You'll never live to see the lights of the Ravagers fly over your funeral," or something like that. He's like, he hints that they're not gonna be there when he dies, and because of what he did. And what did he do? He brought kids from across the galaxy for who knows how long to Ego. And if they weren't Ego's kid, Ego, I don't know what he did to them, but he puts them down in this cave. And there's been thousands.
Except for Mantis, I guess.
Except for Mantis, because she was useful to him.
Right.
This guy's a dick. But he's so cool. But when he's explaining everything to Peter, and Peter's eyes are all starry, and he kind of almost has Peter favorite parts of the movie. It's but what about my friends? He's actually under a trance, and he's like, that's the mortal in you speaking, Peter. And you start to think, oh, he better not give in to this. I don't want this to happen. And then he's like, what about my mom? And he's like, oh, I loved your mom, my little river lily. And it was a shame I had to put that tumor in her head. Audience, stomach sinks. Cut to Peter. His eyes fade back in. And then he's like, what did you just say? And then he just shoots the frick out of him. And he becomes just pure energy, the celestial, you see, but he can feel pain, he said in the movie. So he built himself a human form, but obviously there's the planet. I don't know if he's a planet, can he feel people walking on him? I don't know.
It's a great movie, fantastic. The whole team coming together at the end, it's beautiful.
Peter and Gamora, their love stories fleshed out more before Infinity War. Um, after seeing Guardians 3 more recently, um, I'll say it just now because I'm thinking of it. Gamora does a good job of playing like a different version of herself, Zoe Saldana.
She does.
Because I didn't really feel like that was the Gamora at all that we knew. She was way more rough around the edges. It's like you couldn't really break through her stubbornness compared to the other one who, I mean, obviously that's like a multiversal lesson there. Like people can look the same, even be the same person, but at the end of the day, you are who you are. I don't know. It's kind of like vague, but like, I kind of like.
Right. I mean, keep in mind that like it took a long time for her to break down those walls. Like she didn't care for anyone for like a very long time. So I don't know. I feel like it's true to the character that she wouldn't be just like, oh, I love you, Peter. Like,
Yeah.
That's not Gamora. Gamora is a assassin, badass. That's just not who she is.
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of things I do love about this movie. I love Yondu's redemption. There's a moment where just a moment in time, no matter what Ego is, no matter who Peter is, no matter where the story is going, Peter and his dad have a catch. And that's not with a ball of energy. And honestly, it was meant to be like a nice moment to make us feel a little more comfortable in this monster of a world, like this giant freaky thing. When like later, they're flying to it, like Yondu and Rocket, and they see like the face on it, like the planet actually, like so he like exists as that planet, like that's him as an entity.
Right.
First, which is just so weird and creepy and cool.
Like the Kurt Russell form is just like a form that he's chosen to like make people feel comfortable, but that is him. He's that huge freaky planet.
Freaky. And that blue stuffy planet all over the universe. I don't even get that, but that's okay. He can't utilize his full power without Peter. So like he set all those up and was waiting for someone like Peter so he could like literally dominate the world. But not against the Guardians of the freaking Galaxy, because they have like probably a 20-minute fight, like a big fight where they all go down under, and then the Sovereign, the gold people who they stole the batteries from at the beginning of the movie, who we later learned was created by the High Evolutionary, which is a nice bow to put on that. We'll talk about it in a minute, but the costs all come together at once. Like Ego's starting to fight them, then the Sovereign, and then they realize they got to use these batteries as a bomb to destroy the core of Ego. And who's the guy to do it? Little Groot. It's one of my favorite moments where Rocket's trying to show Groot which button to press, and he kept saying the wrong one. And then Rocket asked, like, anyone got any tape? And then like the battle's going on out there, and like you hear Peter asking everybody for tape, and then no, he doesn't. And Groot does pull off the job, and Ego knew that it was happening. I don't know why he couldn't stop it, but like because just as the bomb was about to go off, it's like, no, you can't do this or something like that. So I thought that was pretty sick how they killed him. I didn't feel bad for him at all. I wonder if he's the reason that Thanos put off coming to look for the Infinity Stones. Like, would Ego like try and kill Thanos? I don't know. Well, there's rumors that Thanos was scared of Odin, and that's another reason. But none of that is confirmed. That's all speculative.
Interesting.
Okay. Gamora and Nebula actually like really find themselves in this one as sisters. They have to fight to nearly the death. That scene where Nebula's coming in on the spaceship and like you see her flying it from far away, and she crashes it into the ground just to like try and kill Gamora. Chases her into a cave. It's holy motherfuck! But then one of the coolest things again, Gamora taking that giant gun from the ship and shooting it on like top of her shoulder. Man, that was cool. Thanos did a number on these ladies, and like They're clearly setting up that emotional trauma and a little bit of a sense of dread for the future and what's to come. You don't bring up Thanos all that. You don't bring him up in a series and you ain't gonna see him. They're gonna see him soon. Groot is a baby in this one, but at the post-credit scene, like the last one, he's a teenager.
It's cool to see him grow up again, especially see him, full-grown Groot for Volume 3.
The movie's very stationary. Like, it doesn't go too many places, like, with the characters physically. It's, like, probably one of the most stationary movies they have.
Yeah, I also feel like it's, of the three, there's, like, the least to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't really need to see this one to see Infinity War and Endgame, but you'd want to, just like, but you don't need it. Okay, I think that's good for Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, there are a lot of great standout moments. If anyone in this multiverse of Marvel Maniac, the podcast, any of you listeners, are you like in your chair, like appalled that we're not talking about Volume 2 more? Send us an email, marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com. You guys can just tell me what you think of the trilogy and the Guardian story in the MCU, and we'll feature it on the show. Just try and stay positive, which I technically do. You'll hear me defend a very bad series or movie because I genuinely like most of the stuff Marvel does. I'm not going to talk about what I don't like. There's like one show. I think I brought it up. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. So this movie ends in a very like emotional way. Peter's given a Zune that Yondu had, and it had like 300 songs on it. Because I think they broke his 8-track player in this movie. And we get to see all of the Ravagers show up and do the lights of their, the lights of the Ravagers. I can't think of what they actually call it. But Yondu was being honored as a Ravager after he was disowned. Like, he did the right thing. He contributed and sacrificed himself in destroying the evil that he was helping give power to. And he got to be a real dad to Peter. Instead of trying to kill him, he saved his life and gave his life for Peter. Maybe one of the most saddest moments of the series. And I will admit, they sit on it a little too long. Like a little witty bit too long. Because
I disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree. I thought it was perfect.
Perfect? Okay, good.
As far as, him actually dying or the after...
it's the after the shock of it all. I loved it, dude. I get the song "Father and Son" stuck in my head the whole time. That's what's special about James Gunn. He takes his time with scenes. You'll hear sometimes I think we heard the whole song of "Father and Son" before the end of the movie because they show Groot and Rocket sitting together and trying to remember what else they do during that part, but. They're all just staring out the window in amazement at the beauty, and how a person like Yondu can really turn the tide for them, and for Peter especially. I just love that story. Volume 3 was another beast. Like, we're not going to go right into that because a lot of things happen in other movies that we can discuss real fast.
Sure.
Well, after this movie, a significant amount of time passes because Groot's a teenager. I know we see him in the post-credit scene of Guardians 2, probably closer to the Infinity War timeline where he's a teenager, but we get teenager Groot. So you can imagine maybe a year or two has passed because I know Groot grows pretty fast. I mean, I don't imagine it being much longer than 2 to 3 years since the second one,
I'd say that's fair, yeah.
Yeah, and then you could tell they're closer, and the Rubber Band Man song comes on when they're introduced in the movie. They're introduced early, but not very early. I'd say maybe 25, 30 minutes in, we cut to the Guardians, signature Guardians songs playing in the background. We see every member of the ship. They do such a good job integrating the Guardians into the Avengers. I gotta say, I loved it.
Me too. The Spinners, that song is so awesome.
that song, Rubber Band Man?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I love when it cuts to Gamora and she's just singing it and another one of my favorite parts is when Groot's like, I am Groot, and everyone in the ship's like, oh, whoa, language. That is so good. Okay, so it's very tough for the Guardians in this movie. They're confident, they're funny, they're comedic relief, and then they gotta be the sacrificial lamb of this whole thing where Gamora gets... it always slightly bothered me seeing Rocket and Groot leave with Thor, even though I love Thor and I wanted to see them together. Like, I'm like, they're going to go confront Thanos alone? Like, without Rocket and Groot? Like, I don't know. Like, okay, do that. Separate Peter and Rocket a lot, I guess, because he's split up with Rocket on the whole second movie. He's split up with Rocket on Infinity War and Endgame. But something you realize in retrospect is something that's told to Rocket while he's in heaven by a friend in the third movie. It's been your story all along. You just didn't know it. And if you kind of look at Rocket's journey, I mean, like, he is leading the beeline story, like, in every movie.
Yes.
He's a main character turned into, like, the main character, which I wonder if we're going to get, another Guardians with, like, that team that we see at the end. I'm cutting way ahead of myself here, though. Gamora gets sacrificed for the Soul Stone by Thanos. That has always been hard to swallow. This fact, Nebula figured out on Titan when the Avengers were fighting Thanos. We get to see the Guardians meet, most of them, Iron Man and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. So Star-Lord, Mantis, and Drax. That's it, right? I think is it that?
What master do you serve? I don't know what you want me to say. Jesus? They had so many great interactions when they first met. It was awesome.
I know. The one part where, like, I think it's Drax or Peter says something so stupid, Tony Stark, like, just is, like, sitting there with, like, pure, like...
I think I remember. He's like, we're from Earth. He's like, I'm from Missouri. He's like, Missouri is on Earth, you idiot.
I love the dynamics of the main characters in the Avengers movie. Like, they're characters you'd never expect to see together. And to see them clash, then team up, is the fun. It's the reason we watch these movies, in my opinion.
I agree. Couldn't agree more.
The team ups are important. We'll talk another day about why we needed a team up for Phase 4. And I think Marvel knows that. But anyway, we lose Gamora. The battle against Thanos, lost. He Stone's given to him. Guess who? The only one who survives out of all the Guardians is Rocket and Nebula. And we see Peter and everyone, both Peters, dust before our very own eyes. I can't help but to call him Peter Quill because I feel like I know him. Like, they do a good job of getting you let to know his character. Any note on Infinity War?
Sure. I thought it was really interesting how James Gunn dealt with, like, the repercussions, because the first two volumes are his baby, and I thought it was interesting that, like, it was kind of taken out of his hands. Like, Peter fucked everything up. I mean,
yeah,
we all know that. But, like, at the same time, I feel like at the time I was annoyed, but it did really humanize him.
Yeah,
to be like, what would you do if you were in that situation? I mean, you think you'd be cool and collected? No.
I was just thinking about that, Teach. Like, in his head, I was thinking, and I got the feeling, it's like realizing someone is dead. Like, it gives you the chills because that is so Peter. He wouldn't have reacted any other way. Like,
right.
He loves Gamora. Like, he was ripped away. She was ripped away from him. And Thanos. I had to, my Gamora, when Mantis got Thanos under that spell. I love seeing Mantis. Mantis is one of the characters that's grown on me so much since she was introduced. I think she's really funny.
I'm curious what they're going to do with her going forward. I mean, she's not on the team anymore. She's still, like, a really cool character, so I'm excited to see
we'll see her again.
Pop back up.
I think we'll see her again. I think we'll see, like, we'll have to see her again, or maybe not, but I just have something tells me we will. Something just tells me we will. Okay, So we lose our Guardians. Rocket becomes like a member of the Avengers, which is pretty fucking awesome. Like Tony Stark, when he gets back from space, is like, I thought you were a Build-A-Bear for a second until now. And he calls him Ratchet at the end of Endgame, where he's like a Ratchet and Clank. And they're very smart guys, Rocket and Tony. Tony, like, I feel like never really gives him the credit because he's a raccoon. But Rocket is very smart. I mean, like, as we learn in Guardians 3, he's an actual genius. And the fact that he was going out there on missions with the Avengers, you know, time traveling, he was Thor's buddy, you know, and he helped Thor get out of the dark place.
I forget about that he was part of the time heist.
Yeah. He was Thor's part. He actually went and got the thing from Jane, the ether, the reality stone, and he was being chased by all the people. And he had a great conversation with his mom, Thor. But you know, this isn't what we're here. We're not here really for these movies, but I will say this is a good example of how important it is to see these movies between the movies. And I also want to discuss after we talk about the third movie, like, could the trilogy stand on its own 2 feet without these movies? So, I
think it's the only trilogy that could.
Yeah,
I do. I think they're the only one that is fully self-contained.
Well, all the stuff that happens with Thanos is kind of summed up in the third movie, and they have to, because, you know, general audiences are always going to be there.
Right. And I mean, you know, Gamora died, and then just past Gamora is now back, so, you know, it takes a little bit of explaining.
They seem to do a decent job. Like, Peter sums it up on an elevator with him and Nebula. It's like, and she's like, you missed some parts, but that's pretty much the gist of it. I'm skipping these movies here. We don't need to talk about them too much because they're really not like essential, but it's really cool that and funny. The end of Endgame, when the battle is won, everyone's brought back. Last time we see Thor, he's talking to Star-Lord, and they want to do the Asgardians of the galaxy. And Thor's dynamic, you know, I think funny Thor is pretty awesome. Like, people hate on Love and Thunder, but like, I watched all the parts up and through the Guardians appearance in that movie, and Thor's really funny. I mean, like, did they go a little too far with that? Maybe, but I can get on a podium and back up that movie. I could stand up for that movie a little bit better, I think.
I'm not sure I could do that.
I want to. I want to play devil's advocate on it, but that's not what we're here for. But you can.
Right.
But if you have something to say on that, you can, because I mean, I just talked about it for 10 minutes.
No. I think it's important that we do address, you know, the events that happened after Volume 2, because it does change the game for Volume 3. You know what I mean? So,
and there's a holiday special right before Guardians 3, yeah. And it's very lighthearted. It's sad that there's no Gamora, but it makes you remember kind of where we are in their story, and you know, nothing that affects like the third movie happens in this one. We just get to kind of learn about a few things earlier, like the fact that they're living in nowhere, like that's their base now, and Groot is grown up in the holiday special. It's the first time we see the new grown up Groot. Mm-hmm. And they wrap him as a Christmas tree, which is like the one thing I'd really want from a Christmas special about Guardians of the Galaxy. If they don't put if they don't dress up that tree like a Christmas tree, they're missing the point, man. Do you have anything to say about their journey between 2 and 3?
No, I think I'm ready to dive into 3 if you're ready for it.
Heck yeah! Not many Marvel movies I know have a holiday special. I think that's really fun. I didn't really watch it again, honestly. I wanted to get to the third movie. I was running short on time. But basically, Quill is sad, and then they kidnap Kevin Bacon, and all hilarity ensues. Lots of fun music. I'll watch it again this Christmas and see how it is just by itself, you know.
Yes.
Guardians Volume 3 is about Rocket Raccoon and his origin, and everyone's relationship with him, including Peter, who pretty much we could see takes Rocket for granted. Do you agree?
I agree. It's definitely Rocket's story in this one, completely. I mean,
The song
talks
Creep.
about from his origin to, it's all about him. It's focused on him. I think it was the best movie since Endgame.
Wow.
And
Better than Spider-Man No Way Home?
Yes.
Wow.
No question to me. I mean, I really liked No Way Home, but it just really, it was a lot of nostalgia, like baiting, almost like in the moment I was watching it, I was so thrilled. It was so fun. But like thinking about it after, I feel like it doesn't have that same rewatch value. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Guardians 3 is its own story, own characters. They don't have to take anything from the past to make you all sentimental.
Guardians 3, better than No Way Home. That's a big statement,
Guardians
but I love
3,
it.
definitely better than No Way Home, in my opinion. It just doesn't, it's its own self-contained story. It doesn't depend on nostalgia or old characters from different movies.
Right. I liked Volume 3 almost as much as the first one. I mean, this movie is darker than the other ones. And it all starts off with that somber acoustic version of the song Creep by Radiohead. And Rocket walking through the town, kind of humming along and singing it. And Rocket seems a little sad, which is like, I don't know why. It's because I'm sad when Rocket gets hurt.
It was a sad movie. Come to think of it. Like, a lot of times, all the animal stuff.
Oh my goodness.
A little hard to watch sometimes. I was like, damn, this is really sad.
High Evolutionary was a fucking great villain. I mean, in years, we haven't had a great villain like that. I thought he was really good.
I agree.
I mean, I hated him. So he did his job.
And his pursuit for perfection.
Yes. And the fact that Rocket was crying after he killed Rocket's family. And then what does he do? I've never seen a character do this. He's like, wah, wah, my friends are dead. And I'm like, what the fuck? This guy is pure evil. This guy's evil, man. That whole movie, he's a piece of shit. He deserves everything he has coming to him, this guy. I don't even think he died in the movie. Like,
no, he didn't.
Rocket spared him.
Because he's going to be a great villain to pull out of the toy box,
Yes! He's
or maybe
violent.
even like a anti-hero, or you know what I mean? Like, there's still room for his arc, for his growth. So
some things are unforgivable.
What they do with it.
You say that, but then Loki killed over 60, maybe more, probably like more in the Avengers, and he's the hero of the multiverse now. So,
and Rocket ripped off his face.
Well, yeah, that was crazy. I mean, just thinking about the beginning of the movie where Quill is like drunk and like an alcoholic, and he's down bad. He's down real bad. He's just not getting over Gamora, and Adam Warlock comes in and beats the shit out of them. Like, he decapitates Groot, and I'm thinking like, I was really feeling like, oh my god, no! Like when Nebula like got her ass kicked in the Drax, he beat the fuck out of Drax. I'm swearing too much this episode. They say Flark in the comics and video games, Flarkin instead of effing.
One of my favorite scenes was the hallway fight scene.
Oh hell yeah!
I think it was one of my favorite action scenes in any Marvel movie period. I thought it was so cool.
Rocket like getting on Groot's back, then riding his vines like through the hallway, shooting everybody.
Right.
Jumps up.
No Sleep Till Brooklyn playing. So
you remember? Hell yeah!
Of course. I love that song. I love the Beastie Boys.
That might have been the best part of the whole movie right there in terms of action.
I agree. Hands down.
We saw this together in theaters.
We did, and that makes it extra special.
It does. It's almost like this was meant to happen, and our sacred timeline is like reforming, like Loki saved us. I wrote down in my notes for Guardians 3, like, poor Rocket, maybe 5 times. When Nebula says this is worse than what Thanos did to me, when they see like how he became,
Right.
that's crazy because we've seen, I mean, Thanos was pretty bad to Nebula. Like, he like made her a robot because she couldn't beat his sister in combat. Like, he's a lunatic. I love having her on our side. And do you like? Do you think that her and Peter have a future romance?
No.
No, I think that was just a joke.
Not. I do think it was a joke, and I don't know. I think it goes back to Drax, saying that there are those that dance and those that don't dance. And I don't think Gamora will ever be a dancer like Peter.
But I wasn't talking about Gamora. I was talking about Nebula.
I'm sorry. I meant to say Nebula.
Oh, that's what you meant to say? Okay. No, that's all good. Yeah, I seen something like once they brought it to our attention, like Gamora was like, that doesn't sound like me. That sounds like her. And they have that awkward moment, and then he like tells her she has nice eyes, and she's like, my father, as a form of torture, gave me these eyes, and he's like, oh, well, he chose a pretty parent. That's all I'm saying. That was they have some really good back and forth in this movie. The most disgusting part of the movie is when they go into that flesh base in outer space, where it's like made the space base made of living organism. And Nathan Fillion's in there as a guard, and that part's fun. I think there's a lot of fun in this movie.
Yeah, there is. I like that he's in. Isn't he in all three? Nathan Fillion.
If he is, I'm forgetful, and that's over my head. Maybe he is like as a monster or something, but I don't remember seeing him like that.
I'd have to double check that.
Peter doesn't let the High Evolutionary do a supervillain speech, even though like it's really good. Like the speech he's given is definitely something that's like needed to be heard and said, but like it's literally Peter's like, I'm not going to listen to another speech about some loser who didn't have a mom who was trying to destroy the universe. Like I'm like, it's true. That does happen. Thanos was a talker. Now is no time at all. Like destroys Vision. Like, hey, that's for the 100th episode, guys. We're jumping everywhere. 100th episode. I don't know if we'll make it Endgame and Infinity War. Pretty sure. I'm not going to talk Endgame without Infinity War. So maybe we'll do 2-episode special. Hey, we're getting there. That's what you guys can look forward to. A 100th episode special. I will make it that far. I will. This movie, the whole movie is about saving Rocket and Peter grappling with the fact that Gamora is actually gone, and this isn't the same Gamora. No matter what he says, no matter how hard he tries, it's maybe a lesson about the multiverse. Like she's just a completely different person. I don't know if it was circumstances. Like if that exact Gamora went to go get the Power Stone from Peter on Xandar, like would she have acted the same? Is like the real question. I don't know, and that's a mystery. But what we do know is it's a good lesson. I mean, Peter has to get through this and get over this to move on to the next part of his life, which is actually going back to Earth and seeing if he has family there.
Yeah, and I do think it's like I don't know. It's growth for Peter as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, I think it's really cool the way that Gunn decided to end it. Like he could have easily tried to, shoehorn her back in, and they fell back in love, and she remembers or whatever. But I felt like there was something really grounded and realistic about how they ended it.
They did a great job
between their relationship. I mean, that's like real life. It's like things happen, people change.
So true.
And like that's life, you know what I mean? And it's like you can either appreciate what you had, or you can dwell on what you lost. You know what I mean?
That's really good. That is really good. Moving forward. Oh man, that's quotable, TJ. I love how everyone understands Groot in this movie, except for Gamora, who does at the end.
No, I think we all understand at the end.
Yeah, we get to hear him say, "I love you guys."
Right. We've been around Groot long enough that we finally get it.
Love that so much. The High Evolutionary, back to him for like a minute. Great original villain. I mean, I don't know. He's probably in the comics, but like the way they handled him was so good. Like someone says, "Oh my God," and he's like, "There is no God. That's why I stepped in." And he loses his fucking mind trying to get Rocket because he can't process out of all his, in quotes, work, how a little raccoon can be so freaking smart. And you know what? Yeah, you should have underestimated him. You should have underestimated him. I think he deserved what happened to his face, although it was terrifying to see. It's like, ugh, gross. That was sick. Rocket really messed him up.
Sure did.
He kind of had it coming.
Had it coming. Yep.
I like Adam Warlock. I think I want to see more of him. You know, we see at the end, Peter, Drax, Nebula goes, not Nebula. Am I? Gamora. I can't believe Gamora goes back with the Ravagers, and Peter gives Rocket the leader. He's the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy now, and we get to see a little bit of like that new team, and it's one of the girls from the High Evolutionary, like one of the superpowered girls. We got Kraglin, who's James Gunn's brother, and we got giant Groot. Like, he was pretending to be Rox, but he's just this huge version of Groot that you've never seen before. And they're running straight at these animals that are gonna like kill these people. So I kind of like the new look of the team. You know, I don't know if they're gonna make a movie about them. Probably not, but there's always a chance. You never know what's gonna happen. We're in a world where Robert Downey Jr. is about to play Doctor Doom. And Peter is the most emotional journey for him. Like the moment where he thought he lost Rocket, and Rocket goes into heaven, or a form of it. There's so many different heavens in the and planes in the MCU. You know, Thor's got one, Moon Knight's got one. There's all sorts of different dimensions. The dimension from Miss Marvel. There's other dimensions. I don't know where I was going with that.
But yeah, I mean, I felt like the ending, once again, was a great full circle, because Peter has always had like this prejudice of Earth. He doesn't understand it. He's like, he doesn't want to go back. He's always saying that. Like, yeah. That's where my mother died. Why would I want to go back there?
Yeah.
And so it's great that by the end, he has that reconciliation of going to see his grandfather and telling him that he's alive. And yeah, I think it's just beautiful. And now we get like the next chapter, which is Star-Lord will return. And so it's like... Right?
Just Star-Lord?
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to see what they do with that. I think he's definitely going to tie in to the bigger, Doomsday, all that stuff. So
well,
I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Me too. If Doom attacks Earth, I mean, Star-Lord's not going to sit there in his grandpa's house.
Right.
So, I mean, it just makes sense. He'll probably be a mainline Avenger. Probably run into everybody at the scene of something crazy. Man, I want the energy of the first Avengers where everyone meets each other and it's like a cool dynamic right off the bat. I really hope they can pull that off in this one. I confessed to you earlier today, I'm for the first time a little bit scared for our Marvel Cinematic Universe. I was disappointed in not having Kang, and the RDJ thing is a lot to take in. So I'm still processing that. I'm never going to leave the franchise, but movies like Guardians, where like even though it is done and outside the movie they said it was done, they still set it up for more stories just in case.
Right.
Which is why I think they'll reunite for a fourth movie at one point. I just, if they're alive, they'll do it. There's going to be something to bring them together, and money. That being money. I don't like saying that though. I like to believe the actors are passionate about their Marvel roles. Anyway, any final thoughts on Guardians 3 or like that trilogy as a whole?
Guardians 3 was great. A little bit on the darker side. I also thought the music was not quite as strong as the first two. No. I know that's incredibly subjective.
I like Dog Days Are Over at the end. I thought that was good, but I agree.
But like for me, it was like the first two volumes. I didn't know most of those songs, and so when I heard them for the first time, it was just a banger. But so like for the volume 3, I feel like I knew most of those songs already, and I was like, oh, that's a good song. But,
well, the fact they had a Zune, they were able to put music from all points in time instead of like 85. Could have, but the Zune probably came out in like 2004 or something like that, 5 maybe. I had one. I broke the screen on it.
Me too. At least
really?
I have mine Zoom.
You still have it?
I probably do.
That's something I would like. Literally, if you
I definitely do. Actually, it's in a box in the basement.
If you're gonna meet Chris Pratt, you should definitely get that signed by him. But yeah, I mean, like all around, this trilogy does stand on its own 2 feet thanks to James Gunn. I mean, do I recommend watching all three of these movies without watching the in between, at least Infinity War and Endgame? No, I'd say watch those 2. We get a lot more from Rocket and a lot of great moments from those characters. But again, I don't think you have to watch them to watch this movie as a trilogy. Because there's enough dialogue in the third movie to explain what happened.
I agree.
And for God's sake, just like consistency is important to me. So I'm kind of glad they left it up in the air a little bit. And said Star-Lord's coming back, I can believe him on that. And I think, like you said, this is one of the strongest. I don't know if you said this. You said something like this. Like, this is one of the strongest parts about the Marvel Universe. Maybe I said that. I don't know. In the beginning, you were telling me that the first movie is your favorite, and that makes me really excited just about all the movies in general. I couldn't wait to watch them. Single beat of the movie, but we pretty much touch most the points. I love the aesthetic. I like the part in this movie with the spaceship suits, space suits with all the colors, and Peter was like telling Gamora about them, and everyone could hear them talking. I love that. Kraglin finally learns the arrow at the end, which is really cool, and the giant celestial base is used as a ship to wreck the High Evolutionary's ship. So that was really freaking cool. And they save all the kids and animals. Heroes. I freaking loved it. Plus matching uniforms.
Yeah.
We didn't really see that before, have we? When you see that first movie 10 years ago, did you think we'd be here 10 years later seeing the third one of it? And no, it would be insane. So Guardians of the Galaxy is really special to me, and it's been really fun talking about it with you.
Heck yeah, buddy. No one I'd rather talk about it with.
I've been waiting a while for this team up. I'm sorry, it's only been 2 weeks, but that was a reference to Deadpool, which I want to see again. That's so good.
Me too.
Wow, I love talking Marvel with you, Teach. I think your perspective is always amazing, and just like today, you make me think about things I didn't think about. So,
yeah, man, I always enjoy our conversations, and I'm always up to come on for a little guest role.
Audience, if you thought we missed a scene that you wanted talked about, marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com. Give us your take. Don't be mean. We have hearts, but give us your take. What did you think of the trilogy? Did we miss anything? I don't think we did. Will I go back and listen to see if we did? No.
I mean, it's 3 full movies, so of course there's going to be many scenes we didn't talk about, but I feel like we did hit themes, our overarching thoughts.
Drax gets stupider throughout the movies, kind of. Gotta be honest about that.
That's okay.
I like it. I like him laughing. I call it the new Guardians of the Galaxy if they did a movie with Rocket and that team, But if they didn't do that, that'd be okay. I just don't imagine the multiversal war is not going to have those characters in it. It's going to be insane. I don't know what they're going to do going forward with Marvel. And we're really looking into an uncertain future for Marvel right now, which is scary but exciting.
It is exciting. We're in a transformational period, so
yeah. I have faith they're going to bring it back. Plus the Russos and Kevin Feige, they love what they do. At least they love the money enough to make us believe they love what they do. I think that they have a passion for it. They wouldn't have brought them in if they didn't.
I think so too. And I remember seeing an interview with the Russo brothers saying that they would only basically come back for those movies. So it gives me hope that, because they actually are fans of the comics. So
fingers crossed. All right, TJ, my main man. I appreciate you coming on again, dude. I'm giving you a bro handshake invisibly right now.
Oh yeah,
I actually am. Yeah, man. I want to have you on more often. You've put on 2 great episodes with me now. You've been on a lot of episodes, but this is the comeback of the show, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you really soon. TJ Gillooly, the man, the legend, the myth, the thing that everyone says about someone they're trying to hype up, but it's true. We'll talk soon, my friend. I wanted to make it the best show for you, Teach. I hope you enjoyed yourself, man.
Oh, I did. It's always a pleasure to be on, and I'm sure it's gonna turn out smooth as ice, my friend.
As it did. Another huge thank you to TJ Gillooly and staying a long time to talk with me about all of these movies and their impacts on our lives, and hopefully yours too. I hope we see more Guardians in the future, but where we leave them, if we look at their whole story across the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's a pretty dang good story and a solid trilogy. It's been my pleasure talking with you guys today. MarvelManiacPod@gmail.com. We love your thoughts. We love your input. Give the show a thumbs up or 5 stars. It will go the longest way possible for us, and I'd love to see you next week. I'm still deciding on the topic. It'll be a fun one regardless, and I can't wait to see you then. Until next time, Avengers, disassemble.